Hold on to your hats, folks, because the European Union has just dropped a bombshell. In a move shocking absolutely no one who understands satire, they've decided to embrace the very thing they've spent years condemning: golden passports. That's right. For the low, low price of 10 million euros, you too can own a piece of the European dream. Now I know what you're thinking. John, hasn't the EU been cracking down on these schemes? And the answer, my friends, is a resounding yes. They've been throwing shade at countries like Malta and Cyprus for years, claiming these programs are basically giant welcome mats for shady characters with deep pockets. But apparently, someone in Brussels had an epiphany. Maybe it was the smell of freshly baked croissants, or perhaps the allure of a bottomless vat of fondue. Whatever it was, the EU has decided that if you can't beat them, join them and charge a hefty fee while you're at it. So get ready to break out your checkbooks because the EU is officially open for business. Just try to ignore the faint scent of hypocrisy hanging in the air. Let's face it, the EU's stance on golden passports has been about as consistent as a toddler on a sugar rush. One minute they're all, these schemes are a threat to our values, and the next they're basically laying out the welcome mat for anyone with a Swiss bank account and a pulse. It's enough to make your head spin. Remember when Cyprus and Bulgaria were forced to scrap their golden passport programs? The EU was practically patting itself on the back, claiming victory for democracy and the little guy. But then, in a twist worthy of M. Night Shyamalan, they pull this stunt. It's like watching a vegan suddenly devour a plate of ribs, confusing and more than a little unsettling. Look, I'm no expert on international diplomacy, but this sudden about-face seems a tad suspicious. It's almost as if they're trying to out-Trump Trump, who, let's not forget, proposed his own gold card visa for a measly $5 million. The EU always striving to be one step ahead, even if it means tripping over their own feet in the process. Alright, let's say you've got 10 million euros burning a hole in your pocket and a burning desire to call yourself a European citizen. But how do you turn that dream into reality? What exactly do you need to do to join this exclusive club? Let's break it down step by step. Well, first you'll need to prove you've got the cash. And not just any cash, but clean, traceable funds. And I'm not talking about a suitcase full of euros. No, it has to be legitimate money. No, we're talking about legitimate investments in EU-approved sectors like infrastructure, technology, and, wait for it, sustainable energy. These are the golden tickets to your new life. That's right, folks. You can now buy your way into the EU and feel good about saving the planet at the same time. It's a win-win situation. It's win-win, except for the whole blatantly selling citizenship to the highest bidder thing. But wait, there's more. You'll also need a squeaky clean criminal record. No skeletons in the closet allowed. That's right, potential supervillains. You'll have to find another way to infiltrate the EU. No shortcuts here. And don't even think about using a fake name. The EU's got that covered too. The EU will be conducting thorough background checks, leaving no stone unturned, because apparently 10 million euros isn't enough to buy you a free pass on due diligence. They want to know everything. Finally, you'll need to commit to living in the EU for at least 5 years. This isn't just a vacation home. And no, spending 6 months a year on your yacht in the Mediterranean doesn't count. You need to be a real resident. The EU wants you to really immerse yourself in the culture, learn the language and become part of the community. And maybe even try some escargot. Embrace the local cuisine and traditions. Or just hire a bunch of locals to do all that for you. It's a practical approach. It's your money after all. Use it wisely and enjoy your new European life. So, you've ponied up the cash, passed the background check and managed to stomach 5 years worth of sauerkraut. Congratulations! You're now the proud owner of an EU passport. But what exactly does that get you, besides the envy of your billionaire friends? Well, for starters, you can kiss those pesky visa applications goodbye. With your shiny new EU passport, you'll have visa-free access to over 180 countries. That's right, the world is your oyster, and you can finally stop pretending to understand the complexities of the Schengen area. But wait, there's more! You'll also have the freedom to live, work and move anywhere within the EU. Want to open a patisserie in Paris? Go for it! Dreaming of starting a gondola rental business in Venice? The canals await. The possibilities are endless, assuming you have the attention span of a goldfish and get bored easily. And let's not forget about the perks. As an EU citizen, you'll have access to top-notch healthcare, education, and business opportunities. Your kids can attend the Sorbonne, you can get a heart transplant in Switzerland, and you can finally start that alpaca farm you've always dreamed of. It's the American dream with a European twist. Imagine the stories you'll tell at dinner parties. Now, before you rush off to liquidate your assets and book a one-way ticket to Europe, let's take a moment to consider the full picture. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the potential downsides of this whole golden passport scheme. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, because let's be honest, when you're dealing with this much money and this level of political maneuvering, things are bound to get messy. The stakes are high, and the potential for chaos is even higher. For starters, critics are already sounding the alarm bells about security risks. And let's face it, they've got a point. When security is compromised, everyone is at risk. When you're essentially selling citizenship to the highest bidder, it opens the door to a host of problems. There's always the risk that some bad apples might slip through the cracks, and once they're in, it's hard to get them out. And then there are the ethical concerns. Is it really fair to allow the ultra-wealthy to essentially buy their way into a privileged club while others struggle to obtain visas or asylum? The disparity is glaring and troubling. It's a question that has no easy answer, but it's one that the EU seems content to ignore. And let's not forget about the potential for corruption. When you've got a system where money can buy you influence, it's only a matter of time before someone tries to game the system. The temptation is just too great. And let's not forget about the potential for corruption. When you've got a system where money can buy you influence, it's only a matter of time before someone tries to game the system. The temptation is just too great. And let's just say that the EU doesn't exactly have a spotless track record when it comes to financial scandals. History has shown us that where there's money, there's often trouble. And let's just say that the EU doesn't exactly have a spotless track record when it comes to financial scandals. History has shown us that where there's money, there's often trouble. So, 10 million euros for an EU passport. Is it worth it? Well, that depends on your priorities. If you're the type of person who measures success in commas rather than character, then sure, why not? It's a small price to pay for the privilege of bypassing the line and joining the ranks of Europe's elite. But if you're looking for a deeper sense of belonging, a connection to a community, a place to call home, then you might want to look elsewhere. Because the truth is, you can't buy your way into a culture. You can't force people to accept you just because you've got a fat wallet. And let's not forget about the moral implications. When you buy your way into a country, you're essentially saying that citizenship is just another commodity, something to be bought and sold like a luxury car or a designer handbag. And that's a dangerous precedent to set. So before you hand over your hard-earned millions, ask yourself this: what kind of world do you want to live in? One where citizenship is a right, or one where it's just another perk for the privileged few? Now, I know what you're thinking. John, this all sounds a bit far-fetched, even for the EU. And you know what? You're right, because there's one crucial detail that we haven't discussed yet: the timing of this whole announcement. That's right, folks. The EU chose April 1st, April Fool's Day, to unveil its grand plan to sell citizenship to the highest bidder. Now, I'm not saying that this automatically disqualifies the announcement as a legitimate policy proposal, but it does make you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, come on, the whole thing reeks of satire. The 10 million euro price tag, the emphasis on sustainable energy, the requirement to live in the EU for 5 years. It's all just a bit too on the nose, don't you think? It's like they're trying to create the most outlandish, unbelievable policy proposal imaginable, just to see if anyone would actually fall for it. So where does this leave us? Honestly, I have no bloody idea. The world has become a bizarre, confusing place where up is down, black is white, and the EU is suddenly in the business of selling passports. It's enough to make you want to crawl into bed, pull the covers over your head, and wait for the aliens to come take us all away. But before you give in to despair, remember this: even in the midst of all this madness, there's still hope. Because as long as we keep asking questions, as long as we refuse to accept the status quo, as long as we keep fighting for what we believe in, then maybe, just maybe, we can make a difference. Or maybe we're all doomed. It's really too early to tell. So, there you have it, folks. The EU's €10 million golden passport scheme in all its absurd glory. Is it real? Is it a joke? Honestly, at this point, does it even matter? The world has become a strange and unpredictable place, and the only thing we can do is try to keep up. So stay informed, stay skeptical, and for the love of all that is holy, don't believe everything you read on the internet. And if you do happen to have €10 million lying around, you know where to find me. I've always wanted to open an alpaca farm.